Chinese startup Deepseek has built a low-cost AI model using less advanced chips, sending shockwaves through the semiconductor industry. Now, chip makers are warning of AI infrastructure overcapacity as demand shifts toward cheaper hardware. Here to unpack what this means for the industry are Roger Sheng from Gartner and Associate Professor Go Guan from the NUS Business School. Roger, if I may start the conversation with you, how do you think that DeepSeek's low-cost model challenges the current AI chip market?
We think DeepSeek's low-cost model, which requires less AI infrastructure and computation capacity, will impact the demand of high-end, most expensive AI solutions offered by NVIDIA in the market, mainly purpose for their training, the pre-training model for their large language model business. However, in outside, the inference demand will be generated by the low-cost and high-efficiency DeepSeek models, which will expand the user volume and the application coverage, generate more demand in the AI infrastructures, and the migration to the AI edge and the device side.
Well, definitely it changes the assumption of how the AI industry will develop, because originally we are thinking about using a lot of chips. We're thinking about using high-end chips, the more powerful the better, and of course having arrays of data devices and data centers in order to do this data processing. But DeepSeek has shown that it's possible to provide reasonable quality at a lower cost. So definitely that changes the model of how AI can be developed. So in a way, it's also along this concept that's called frugal innovation. And that is using less resources to develop a lower cost product because of targeting perhaps a different market, for example. And that potentially could also mean that we will have two different market segments. So we could have a segment for more complicated models and more computing intensive AI models, where companies would want to use that because they require higher end or more intensive computing power. And we could have another segment that could be for consumers, where consumers may not be so discerning or not so particular about what they need to achieve using the AI, and therefore they can make do with maybe lower cost models that may not be as good quality but good enough to meet the needs of what they intend to do.
What risks do you think overcapacity poses to chip makers and their revenue growth?
So if you look at the current semiconductor cycle, right, semiconductor industry has always been a cyclical industry, so it goes from up and down because of cyclical increase in capacity and followed by overcapacity and slowing demand, etc. So that has always been the case in the last 2 decades. I think if you look at the current situation, because of the high demand for AI and therefore the need for chips, this is less likely to happen. There is a requirement, there's a backlog with the semiconductor chip companies right now in terms of delivery of the chips itself. So that's one of the things that, where in the short term we may not see overcapacity. At the same time, what you see is also that different governments, right, especially in the major economies, are all encouraging investments into semiconductor capacity. So you see that China, US, Europe, major economies like Japan and Korea as well. So when that happens, then there may be built up of capacity in different countries as a result of their own diversification needs as well as country regulations. So not everything would then be based on sort of commercial considerations. And when that's not totally based on commercial considerations, but because of geopolitical considerations or government regulations, then it potentially could lead to an overcapacity at a certain point in time.
Yeah, exactly. NVIDIA will be the first impacted vendor in the market. The very expensive clusters like B200 NVL72 will be impacted the demand. However, on the other side, it will provide a great opportunity to the other AI chip suppliers, such as AMD and Huawei and the other smaller chip vendors to develop the chip, focusing on their inferencing workload capabilities by using Deepseek models. It will also encourage new innovations on their new chip architecture by using Deepseek's approach.
Do you anticipate DeepSeek's approach will push the industry toward more affordable AI infrastructure?
Yes, I think along the lines of, the idea of frugal innovation. So certainly being able to do something at lower cost means that more companies or more people can potentially adopt the usage of such models, as well as to extend the use of these models across different companies. At this point in time, you see also a lot of SaaS applications being developed, where people can rent services, use parts of services, use the software, etc. So more, so it's not just always an infrastructure play. So it's an infrastructure play for big companies, where you need a lot of capacity, but there is also potential for rental usage, where we are buying capacity on a per use basis. And I think that will allow a lot more companies to be able access to these resources, but without having on a pay-per-use basis.
Definitely, we believe DeepSeek's approach and the technologies will lead the industrial change from the large-scale investments on the AI infrastructure to the more effective, more power consumption concerned AI investment by using high efficiency architectures, especially to the smaller organizations and their smaller enterprises, even to the individuals. They can leverage cheaper servers and the affordable AI system to develop the AI software based on DeepSeek's model for a broader industry use cases that will generate more differentiations and innovations on the enterprise and the user vertical AI use cases.
Thanks to both of you for your time today, Roger and Puai Guan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Again, our guests were Roger Sheng, Vice President Analyst at Gartner, and Associate Professor Go Puai Guan from the Department of Analytics and Operations at the NUS Business School. For more news, please visit manufacturing.asia.